So in this one, let's talk about when your default allocators are not enough. We'll do it in the context of database, specifically MySQL. We'll dig deep into a very real world practical scenario and see when you would need to switch from your default Malloc into something else. So it's going to be fun ride, pretty in depth. It would be fun. So let's start. We know, of course, MySQL being a database, it needs to do a lot of mallocs and frees of the world. For example, during query allocation, connection handling, sorting, aggregations, etc., etc. Now, the default malloc that we all use is nothing but a malloc provided by glibc, and everybody uses that. Now, when we do this, what happens is this allocator. So these are called allocators. So glibc's malloc, like glibc's allocator, is what is the default that is shipped with all the Linux OSs. So in glibc, it is a very general purpose allocation. It works just fine for most use cases, but it becomes a bottleneck under certain workload, and those workload are typically high concurrency environment. Let's dig deeper on what this environment is and when we would need to change it and why we would need to change it. So under a high concurrency load, what happens is, so again, slight history, when glibc's malloc was written, it was written for single threaded workloads, but then multi-threading became a norm. So malloc's code was altered, like glibc malloc code was altered and was rewritten a bit to support multi-threading. So the way they do it is to not have like one, if you have multiple threads trying to use malloc and it needs to manage its memory, it would have to have one global lock, which would just sequentialize everything and slow things down. Hence, what it does is it splits the memory chunks. It splits the memory into something called as arenas, and each arena has its own lock. So this way, your lock contention is not at the global level, but at an arena level. Now, each arena has a lock. So when a thread wants to allocate a memory, it picks from an arena. So it finds the first arena which is not locked by any other arena, and from there it tries to allocate the memory. Now you can start seeing how this would be a problem. Of course, the problem is around internal memory fragmentation, because imagine from an arena which had a bunch of memory but it was locked, hence your thread went to another arena. So what would happen? Like the memory that could be used from arena 1 is not used because now you went to arena 2, because if arena 2 is also not it's also logged, it would create a third arena. That's a problem. So there is a lot of risk of internal memory fragmentation. Big problem with glibc's malloc implementation under high concurrency workload. Second is, of course, the lock contention that needs to happen. So this needs a solve. So what's the solution? You have a memory allocator by Google called TCMalloc, and it's built and imagined from ground up for multi-threaded environments. So what it has a simple 3-tier architecture, nothing very fancy, simple 3-tier architecture, but you have your thread local cache. This is what your thread or your application thread uses. There is no need of locking here. It's thread local, which means if I need a memory, if I'm allocating, deallocating, it's all getting affected in this thread local cache. So this is the first tier which your application thread deals with. Now, if you run out of this, which is a thread local cache, where do you go? You go to central free list. Using the thread local cache, when it needs memory, if it is running out of memory, it needs more, it goes to central free list, which has thread local, which from this, the memory gets filled into your thread local cache. So here your locking and all kicks in, but now you can see how your, because you have a thread local cache, the number of contention that goes into the central free list would be very minimal. That's the key benefit that you get out of this. So this is where you have your central free list. Now, if your central free list is actually, you have multiple free lists and there is one free list per class, which is size class. So there are various sizes that is defined. Let's say 16 KB, 32 KB, 64 KB, 128 KB, etc., etc. You have multiple classes like this, and each free list is protected by lock. So the contention is still on the free list, but the number of times multiple threads have to go to free list to get it is substantially lesser because you have a thread local cache at first. That's the benefit. So you have your thread local cache, you have a central free list. Now, where do central free list get its memory from? So central free list, of course, it's not going to OS and asking for like this small chunk of a contiguous block of memory. So what it does internally, it goes to your page heap, which gets from the OS large chunk of memories, and from there it divides it and gives it to central free list. Central free list then allocates segments of it to thread local cache. Now here you can start seeing how beneficial it gets, because what you deal with, your application deals with, is your thread local cache. There is minimal locking because it's thread local. Some contention over here, very small contention, and even further reduced because you are allocating large chunk of memory from page heap. So for multi-threaded environments or high concurrency environments where you are doing a large number of frequent allocations and deallocations, TCMalloc does really well. So you should use TCMalloc when you have more than 8 cores. First of all, why 8 cores? Because when your number of cores are lesser, which means your contention, your concurrent or your parallel contention is much lesser, the delta is not substantial enough. So in that case, you could use any allocator. Second is when you have high concurrency OLTP workloads, which is what we'll take a look at a very practical example after this. Third is when you have large number of concurrent connections. Again, they are trying to do operations, allocations, deallocations. Your memory growth, this is the most important one. Your memory growth does not correlate with your data usage. For example, your total data that your database is using is, let's say, 70 GB, but your operating system says, hey, it's consuming 95 GB. Where is this delta coming from? This is an indication that there is a fragmentation that's happening. And fifth, when you do profiling of your program and you see, oh, there is a contention that's happening during memory allocation. We'll take a look at this in a minute. We look at the contention happening, and it's happening in Malloc. You'll be like, hey, why? Why in Malloc there is lock contention? Classic case where multi-threading, small, like very coarse grained locks being taken substantially reduces the performance and throughput and whatnot. Right? Let's take a concrete example to dig slightly more deeper into this. So the scenario is simple. Let's say you're running a MySQL 8. You have a 128 GB RAM machine. Your peak usage is 800 concurrent connections. Now, when that's the case, what you observe is you have configured your InnoDB buffer pool, which is your in-memory cache for MySQL database, to be not just cache, but in general memory usage of your database, to be 64 GB. But you are seeing your RSS usage, which is your actual memory consumed by operating system as reported by operating system, is 95 GB. What's the delta? Although you have configured your buffer pool to be 64, you can take some overhead above that, but 95 GB RSS and it's growing consistently. What's the problem? You start investigating. Now, when you start investigating, what do you first find out? Is you find out what is your actual allocations as per your database and what is your RSS usage. So actual allocation, you can fire a very simple query under your performance schema table, which is memory global by current bytes. It gives you your high alloc and it gives you your current alloc. And the delta between the two is what you need to figure out. Why is that the case? So your expected, imagine you run this and you see that your expected allocations are roughly 70 GB. And when you check your RSS usage, it turns out to be 95. 95 minus 70, 25. Where is this 25 coming from? Like, what's this overhead? This is an indication of fragmentation. But you need to be sure. You need to be sure that this is really the case. To double check, you can also look at your Malloc status at your process level. So you can fire a simple shell command, which you cat the file. In Linux, everything is a file. Cat /proc/ your process ID of your MySQL /smaps. It checks your process map and it reports something like this, where few parameters, again, this is a dummy example. I've taken it from my login process, but you can do it for MySQL as well, where you can see your size and you see your RSS. So RSS is what is actually consuming and your size is what it should be consuming. Kind of. I won't go into details. The above one will give you much better, clear one. RSS is one that you should be very much interested in, by the way. And here you would get your current allocations that needs to be aware of. Okay. Now, when you do this, you would find your size to be around 70 GB and your RSS to be 95. And here you would see, and that's what would start bugging you. Okay, what's happening? Because your memory, your Malloc states are way off, right, from what its actual should be. Now, what do you do next? Now you want to check if it actually there is a lock contention is an issue or not. How do you do it? You run perf command on your process and you start recording. And when you record, you do perf report, it generates a report. there the first contention that you would see looks something like this. So you would see libcmalloc. This is the glibcmalloc that I was talking about. And in that, your most fragment, so most of your MySQLite process eaten up, 18% eaten up by this, out of which 6.23 is lock wait private. This is an indication that the most consuming thing is actually waiting for your lock to be procured by malloc. This is an indication that your lock contention is becoming a problem. Your RSS usage and your actual memory consumption, that is according to your database versus RSS, there is a huge delta suggesting fragmentation. Fragmentation, lock contention problem. This is where it feels like you should try changing your allocator, because for your workload, it makes sense. Now, how do you change allocator? So in MySQL, you can just load, you can pass in the environment variable LD preload, and in that you pass the file for libtcmalloc.so file. You pass the .so file to shared object file to that. And when you do this, it changes your allocator from your glibcmalloc to this. The moment that happens, when you run it, again, some numbers, when you run it, what you see is that your memory growth stabilizes, and you see your peak RSS usage down from 95 gigs to 72 gigs, which was where we saw where it was around 70 plus 2 GB. Some internal fragmentation, of course, would happen even in case of TCMalloc, but you saved a significant amount. Right? Plus, it would also beneficial during your query throughput, etc., because now there is not much lock contention that needs to happen when the query is executed, when it needs temporary tables, etc. Right? Now, this is why I kind of find databases very interesting, because it's very easy to mimic all of these things locally and see these nuances in action. So yeah, this is all what I wanted to cover. Some concluding notes over here is do not take your default malloc for granted. Explore default malloc, explore different allocators. TCMalloc, what we talk about by Google, there is JEmalloc by Facebook. Your glibcmalloc is the default one. Each one of them has a different architecture. Each one of them tackles allocations differently. For any and every tool that you use, even in Redis, you can change it. In MySQL, you can change it. Everywhere you can change your allocators and see how it benefits. Which workload benefits which allocator is benefited by which workload. It's a rabbit hole on its own. And I think I was able to spark some curiosity, if nothing else, right? But yeah, play around with this. I shared few commands here and there that you can try it out. It's fun, and you have your weekend and whatnot to try this out. It's pretty fun. Use LLMs to code this thing out and generate a prototype and go deeper. It's fun. So yeah, this was all what I wanted to cover in this one. I hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it amusing. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a ton.